Jon Stewart is back, ladies and gentlemen, and the libs are not happy about it. After taking a 9-year break from The Daily Show, Stewart has reemerged to do a weekly run on American politics, which you think would make liberals ecstatic. I mean, Jon Stewart is essentially a demigod to, liberals in the United States of America. But unfortunately, their hero returned and decided he was going to do honest critiques of American politics instead of just, subscribing to partisan political hackery. Stewart decided to point out the glaringly obvious fact that both Joe Biden and Donald Trump are 1,000 years old and that their brains are not working at full capacity, which Democrats saw as a betrayal because, we're all supposed to pretend Biden is sharp as a tack. And essentially, they want Jon Stewart to lie. They want him to pretend that Joe Biden has the same mind he had back in, 2012 and that he isn't a doddering old man. And it's really, really upset them. Like even I can't remember her name, Jean Pierre, the press secretary for the Biden administration. She
Oh
was
yeah, her.
asked about it. Yeah, and she said that she didn't think it was fair. And my favorite critique that Jon Stewart mentioned about Joe Biden was people always talk about how Biden gets up on stage, he doesn't exude confidence. He, because
Mm,
he's just kind of sputtering stuff out, and
yeah,
he doesn't really show a lot of conviction, and it doesn't really move the room. And people will say that, and Jon Stewart pointed out that people always say, well, listen, behind the scenes, Biden is taking control of situations, he's directing the
yeah.
conversation, he's in complete and full command. And Stewart said, why don't you film that? why don't you film that and release it to the public so they can see it? Because listen, you telling me that doesn't give me a lot of confidence when that's not what I'm seeing. And I did Ate, did you run across a lot of this on social media with people complaining that Jon Stewart was too hard? And it's not like he didn't insult Trump either. Like he pointed out
Yeah,
the clear reality that both these guys have brains of cottage cheese,
yeah,
and still, it wasn't good enough. Like he had to, kiss Biden's ass, and he didn't.
yeah. Thank God for me that I like my Twitter feed is like people who are like extremely left. So saw a lot of these videos, but it was a lot of people responding to people that were saying that like fucking
Yeah.
Stewart was being too harsh on Biden. And I found it so funny because I am not the type to pay attention to political commentators like on that level, like
Mhm.
late night show hosts. Like they don't really mean anything to me. That's for the older generation.
Yeah.
But like I peered into like the video because I'm thinking, oh my God, he's probably on Biden's ass, the way they're talking. Probably, he was just like, yeah, Biden's old. And it's like I thought we all knew this. That's what I was confused. I was sincerely confused because I thought that we all were fully aware that Biden is decrepit. Like I thought that's something. I guess is this might just have to do with the fact that like I am in an echo chamber on and everybody I interact with like hates Biden almost as much as they hate Trump, for a lot of different reasons. Um but to see that like there are actually like older Democrats, people who consider themselves progressive that feel like Stewart is doing too much. It's crazy to me because then it means that like it's all about this partisan game. Like they're doing the same thing that Republicans are doing too,
Yes.
where it's about partisan in this fucking game before it's about like anything else that's actually important.
Yeah. They want everyone to play in and pretend the emperor does have clothes like that. That's what they want. And despite what everyone sees, they are like, no, no, just pretend everything's okay. And look, this is what's bothered me about, because here's the thing with Joe Biden is that in a way I feel kind of bad for him because
Anyway,
in a way,
yeah,
and in as much as I could feel bad for a 60-year career politician, like that's about it's just,
yeah, right,
that meter
yeah,
only goes
right.
so high. But Joe Biden, like if you go back and you watch the vice presidential debates from 2008 and
Yeah.
2012, when Joe
Mhm.
Biden debated Sarah Palin and what's his name,
Oh,
Ryan, Paul
yeah,
Ryan and Sarah Palin, the guy was on it. I mean, he was funny, he was witty, he
yeah,
uh he
yeah.
he could string a couple of sentences together and he made sense, and like he spoke with command. So the guy did have it. It's not like he's always been this way. And if
Right.
he would have run in 2016, he would have won. He would have. Like I would bet everything I own that Joe Biden, like, he
Really?
definitely would have won a place like Pennsylvania, and that Clinton would have lost. But they talked him out of it and said, nope, listen, it's Hillary's turn. She should run. And she got, she got embarrassed.
Yeah,
So if
cooked.
Biden would have run in 2016, he would have been
He would have got.
younger, and he could have done a little
Yeah,
bit better. But then it was 4 years later, and by then he'd already started to decline.
he's already
And
gone.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was already gone. And this is something what liberals do. Liberals are just so funny. How you say, like, their devotion to the party or to an apparatus. And I noticed this a lot with
Yeah.
Biden, because whenever Biden would get up on stage with his 80-year-old ass, and his eyes are like squinted like
Yeah.
Mr. Magoo. He can't see shit, and he raises his hands like an
Yeah.
old man. He talks to. He's like,
Dude,
I,
he
I,
does.
and so then people point out what everyone can see. Like, everyone is watching this happen, and it's like, all right, this guy can't talk, and it's like, oh, you gonna
Mhm.
make fun of a guy who was born with a stutter? And it's like, okay, look, all right,
No.
let me tell you a couple things about how the real world works.
Yeah.
First of all, screw you.
Yeah.
Second,
Yeah.
the job of president of the United States, like 70% of it is public speaking. And if you
He's
aren't good
literally.
at that, it is legitimate. It is a legitimate criticism to say, hey, you're
Yeah.
not good at an essential part of this job. It doesn't mean people who are
Yeah.
born with stutters are worse people
Right.
or something. But look, some jobs are not for some people. And third, most importantly, that you think that's going to move a Republican by saying by appealing to, like, their compassion? You think they're going to give a fuck about that? Like, this argument fails in every single way, and they still
Yeah.
use, like, oh, nice job making fun of with a guy with a stutter. It's like, okay, stop it. This is ridiculous. But this is they love.
It's so fucking funny. It's so funny to me because that is one of the ways in which liberals will, like, co-opt, like, progressive, like, leftist language and social justice language to defend the stupidest fucking shit. Like, dude, I saw this on Twitter. Like, I saw this fucking think piece that was, like, calling all of us, like, ableist for making fun of Joe Biden's stutter. And they were like, oh yeah, he's had that stutter since he was young. It's ableist to yada yada yada. And we were like, this is the president of the United States we're talking about. This is somebody that is he has to convey thoughts clearly. Like, you know what I mean? Like, this is part of the job. And the funniest one I saw recently, because that one was a while back, that was when he was running for president. This one that I saw recently is even stupider. I saw on Twitter just a few days ago, because of the comments about how old Joe Biden was and how someone hopped to his defense by calling ageist, by being like, oh, it's ageist to be like to force him to take a cognitive test. Oh, why are we implying that old people are stupid, or why don't we care about? And it's like, dude, this is, what I'm saying, like, this is not your grandma at bowling night. This is
important shit, folks.
This
It's
is something
important
else
shit.
entirely.
It's not ageist that they don't let you be a
Yeah.
commercial pilot after, like, 66 years old. Like, that's not ageist. I'm sorry. They're trying to
Right.
save lives. Joe Biden, if Joe
Yeah.
Biden says the wrong thing on a random Thursday, he could tank the economy of several countries. So listen, it's important that this guy can
Right.
talk. And what actually makes it even worse is that he could maybe have some saving grace if his vice president could talk too, but she can't either. It's like, and she's not even old. Like, she doesn't even have that excuse. Like listening to Kamala Harris talk, it's like being in a weird dream. Like, listening to her talk, it is bizarre.
Somebody said that Kamala Harris is the only person to have been able to challenge or channel Heath Ledger's Joker energy since his performance, and I never saw it the same ever since. Because she is so unhinged in some ways. Like, she talks like a supervillain in like a 60s wacky supervillain.
Yeah,
it's so funny.
Yeah, it's like, did you ever see that clip of her stepping out of a building and she's heading onto a bus and she's singing "The wheels on the bus go round and round"? But it's in, like, she's like, "The wheels on the bus go round and round." I was like, wait a minute. You don't know the
Dog.
tune to the wheels of the bus go round and round? How do you fuck that up? Everyone learns it at 3 years old. And
Dog.
don't tell me you're nervous. You've been in front of cameras for like 30 years now. So I don't know. It was just odd. It's just every time. And once again, like I keep saying my sympathy towards these folks, but like I do feel bad for Kamala Harris in the same way that I feel bad for a
Yeah.
lot of vice presidents in that but when you're the vice president, you get the shit work the president doesn't want to do. That's like that happens. And so like when she came
That's
on
true.
board, the first thing Biden did is like, hey, guess what? You're in charge of the border. And so now, whenever the border stuff is going
Yeah.
crazy, she's got to get up and what's she gonna say?
Deal with it.
Don't come and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I
it makes
got
her look
that,
silly.
but she knew that when she walked in, but she just doesn't convey any sort of authority. And it tells you a lot, by the way, because when Biden, we obviously, like folks like us, we weren't, supporting Biden back then. Most of us were, Sanders or at
Right.
the very least Warren, but
Yeah.
but Biden was not our top choice. And so we're like, okay, fine. Biden, they Voltron together and they got Biden when everybody else dropped out. And you would figure that the centrist libs would offer an olive branch to the left by picking a progressive vice president. Nope, we're going to go with Kamala Harris.
Oh,
And Biden
gonna
even,
go
do
with
you
an
remember when he
attorney.
said, do you remember when he said that his plan, this is before he got the nomination, but he said that if he got the nomination
Mm.
and he won the presidency, that his plan was to be a transitional president, that he would be president for one term and then hand it off to the younger generation. And of course he was lying. I mean,
Yeah, that's exactly what he said.
but you'd figure, do you see? I think that he was just lying. I don't think he ever intended because that's not.
Of
Just not
course.
yeah, no one does that. And I think the best evidence for that is the fact that he picked Kamala Harris. Because here's the thing: you would, if like, let's say Biden dies, which is not crazy, like he's 80 something years old,
Yeah.
he could die any minute now, then the heir apparent would be Kamala Harris. Does anyone think she would win the Democratic primary? Does anyone think like
Absolutely. Like
you should pick the person
even
who you think would be
close.
the strongest one? And he picked one of the weakest ones possible. And it's such a
Yeah.
comedy of errors. It's so bizarre.
I was actually going to ask you because with talking about his relationship to Kamala Harris and why he picked her. This that I was circulating Twitter about how the United States, Joe Biden, the United States government is like forcing, black and brown people, but mostly black people, to be mouthpieces for policies that they know are going to be unpopular with the masses, and they're like letting like them be the bearers of that bad news. Like the person voted no at the UN for like sending aid to Palestine or something like that. Like he voted no a bunch of times. Was a black man, I think. And then the secretary of fucking, what was her name? The one that does the press, secretary of press.
Yeah, Jean-Pierre, I think her name is
And
something
then
like
Kamala
that.
Harris. Like, yep. Yeah, all three of them being black people who, like, whenever you're hearing something about what's going on in the United States or Gaza that you don't like, it's coming from like one of their mouths. Do you think that
I
was
never caught
what are your
that.
thoughts on that?
I
Like,
never caught that actually. I didn't know that, but I don't know because it's not like everyone else has a problem saying the same shit. So I don't know. Like I don't know. But yeah, I mean, I've never seen anyone else be all shy about, oh, our shucks, Israel, they got our hands tied here. No, I don't know. Like
yeah, right.
I hadn't noticed that, but who knows? But I can't
Yeah.
give you a good. Well, I mean, I hate to say this because it makes me sound like a Republican, whatever. Is that why they picked Kamala Harris is because for black votes or whatever. Which
Right.
nothing else honestly makes sense to me. Like I can't for the life of me understand why you would have picked her. Like it was not like she did well in the primary. She dropped out before the first primary even happened. So it certainly wasn't to be your replacement because you would have picked someone stronger.
All right,
Hey
gotcha.
folks, hope you enjoyed what you saw and heard. I'm sure you did. We are professionals after all. But feel free to like, share, comment, subscribe to your friends, family, enemies. We don't even care. Give it to anyone you can. But we'll toss it over to Ate. Where can we find your stuff, my man?
Yeah. Thanks for having me on. If you would like to see, I mostly specialize in talking about films and TV shows from, a progressive leftist lens, and just from like a highly media literacy analytical perspective. And if you'd like to see more of that, You can find me on TikTok. That's where I post the bulk of my videos. That's where I do the most of my work at Destructo Jugo, Jugo with 2 U's. And to follow me on YouTube at Destructo Jugo, where I will start posting video essays. And Destructo Jugo on Instagram as well. So thank you for anybody watching. This was great.
Fantastic, fantastic, man. If you guys trust me, and of course you do, yeah, absolutely should trust Ate. He makes some amazing stuff, and I've been following for a long time, and I cannot recommend him enough. Thanks a lot, guys.